The news headline: Harvard Trade Attorney Ogunye gives 10 reasons why Ipob should fire Ejiofor as Kanu's lawyer. Human rights attorney and founder of Due Process Advocates (DPA), Barrister Emeka Ogunye, has given 10 reasons why the leadership of the indigenous people of Biafra (Ipob) should fire Ejiofor, the lead counsel to the detained leader of the separatist movement Nnamdi Kanu. In a report titled "Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor is unfit to remain a lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu. He must withdraw immediately or be fired," the fiery attorney argued that Ejiofor, still standing as Kanu's lawyer, could spill doom for Nnamdi Kanu and his movement because of the alleged fraud charges he is facing. He, however, urged Ejiofor to withdraw as Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer or should be sacked by the leadership of the group, considering the sensitivity of the case he is handling. Emeka said, "Yes, I know that only Nnamdi Kanu can choose who should be his lawyer. That is a right he has under the Section 36 of the Nigerian Constitution. But that right is never an absolute right. It requires that a person be free in order to be able to make the choice. Nnamdi Kanu is not free at the moment. It also requires that the person be sufficiently informed to be able to exercise that right. Nnamdi Kanu was not aware of the fact that Ejiofor was not fit to represent him. That right requires that a person should not choose a lawyer out of fear. Indeed, at this point, Nnamdi Kanu may have fears about firing Ejiofor because Ejiofor may have certain confidential information about Nnamdi Kanu. And his defensive strategies, which Nnamdi may not want to be disclosed to his opponents. His reasons: as of 2016, when Nnamdi Kanu engaged Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor as his lawyer, Ejiofor was facing serious investigation for fraud and forgery by the EFCC. It was a serious investigation because the EFCC had copies of 2 legal documents that Ejiofor presumably admitted that he forged. That meant that during the investigation, Ejiofor knew that he would most likely be convicted if prosecuted. Reason 2. Also, in the same 2016, the EFCC indicted Ejiofor on 5 counts of fraud, forgery, issuance of due check, tendering of forged documents. Ejiofor understood that with the nature of evidence at the disposal of EFCC, he was not in a position to challenge Nigeria's government in anything unless it is a planned game. Hence, he could not take on the work of a defense counsel in a case as political and as sensitive as one involving treason and terrorism charges. He should have declined to represent Nnamdi Kanu. When asked to do so, instead he went and offered his services to Nnamdi Kanu, despite the obvious limitations he had. The charge in question is FRN versus Ifeanyi Ejiofor and 2 ORS, charge number CR 950/2020. The next hearing date is 30th of March 2022. The third reason: by virtue of the multiple charge criminal indictment, Ejiofor faced conflict of interest. His duty to fight and save Nnamdi Kanu was in direct conflict with his desire to placate and appease Nigerian government in order to avoid going to prison or to get a favorable plea bargain deal. 4. At the very least, Ejiofor ought to have disclosed his legal jeopardy to Nnamdi Kanu and to fully advise him of the implications of using him, Ejiofor, for his defense. But Ejiofor did not inform Kanu. and did not advise him. Indeed, Ejiofor actively concealed this important fact from Kanu. 5. Once Ejiofor chose to conceal the truth from Kanu, he also had to do several other things to maintain that concealment. For instance, Ejiofor had to try to block any competent lawyer whom he feared was in a position to help Nnamdi Kanu. Ejiofor turned the case into a tough war and as an instrument of aggrandizement and power show, and with the power he thought he acquired from being the lawyer for Nnamdi Kanu, he chose to engage in needless and counterproductive conflicts that tended to hurt his clients. For instance, he engaged in personal conflict with Chief Emeka Offor, a Styles man. Second, he assisted the Abuja Police Command in framing barrister Emeka Ugwoye for murder and armed robbery because he feared that Emeka Ugwoye might accept to assist Nnamdi Kanu in his case. 6. Given the nature of the details of the indictment against Ejiofor, it is highly detrimental to Nnamdi Kanu and his cause for Ejiofor to remain his lawyer. According to the facts of the indictment, Ejiofor is alleged to have fraudulently attempted to sell the land of a Yoruba man to an Igbo man and ended up defrauding the Igbo man, his own Biafran brother. That is, he forged the signature of a Yoruba man and deceived an Igbo man with it. 7. The involvement of Ejiofor in Nnamdi's defense subjects, Nnamdi Kanu, and his Biafran cause to public ridicule. People who knew about the fact that Ejiofor has been facing fraud charges had been referring to Nnamdi Kanu and Ipob as Biafraud. Why? Obviously, because when a person is represented by a lawyer facing serious fraud charges, such a person can be assumed to have willingly associated himself with a fraudulent person. 8. It is now logical to assume that Ejiofor either has been working with the Nigerian government against Nnamdi Kanu's interest in order to save his, that is Ejiofor's, neck and to avoid going to prison. 9. When you have a team of lawyers working together on the same case, it is expected that these lawyers will have respect and trust for one another. However, with a situation where Ejiofor is answering and answerable to the Nigerian government in a criminal trial, other lawyers in the Nnamdi Kanu's defense team cannot be comfortable with him, and they will not trust that their strategies and confidences will be safe. 10. Finally, at a time when the whole world has been wondering how the Nigerian security forces managed to track Nnamdi Kanu to Kenya and successfully rendition him to Nigeria, it is very unsettling to realize that Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer has been someone that could have been under the control of the Nigerian government. What's your view on this? For the above reasons and more, Ejiofor should immediately withdraw from representation of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you.